having me this morning. And let me use this. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning to you too.
Viewers, most especially those in my constituency. Let me also use this opportunity to wish my professional grouping, the Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana, a happy annual general meeting in Ho. It is from today until Sunday. It is always a great pleasure to be there. After this, I'll go to Ho to join them. Once a pharmacist, always a pharmacist. One day when I stop doing frontline politics, I'll go back to
the counter.
Yes, to the counter.
And dispense.
Yes.
To both NDC and MPP customers.
Oh yes, that's what that business. Well, ordinarily, or the things that are happening with Nabu and everybody in Nabu and my very dear friend Kwashiga and all, it is their what's the one for some politics is essentially building alliances, and so it's okay. I mean, I am not aware. He says that we did the same thing in Parliament. No, we never issued a statement in the 6th Parliament. But I think that in the run-up to 2016 election, it was obvious that the clear choice of the party was Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. It was without controversy.
That's Emmanuel Kyeremateng Agyarko, the Member of Parliament for Ayawaso West Wuogon, who passed, and the Broadening news yesterday. So very sad announcements there. But we have some of his colleagues in the House. They're already here. Andre Japamesa is a Member of Parliament for Sekendi. He practices law as well. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
And Edward Bauer is a Member of Parliament for Bongo. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Let me start with you. Some commiserations, some messages you want to.
Yeah, thank you very much. Good morning to your viewers. Let me first indicate clearly that Honorable Agyarko was a gentleman who came across as somebody who was very humble. Roland, you have hosted two of us together on this platform on a number of occasions. I happened to get even closer to him because of the fact that his brother was the Minister for Energy, and that there were few times that as an individual I gave feedback to his brother through him. There were a few times he came to me to just get an honest opinion about certain policies that were being introduced in the energy sector. And I believe that any brother will do that for the sibling, to be sure that, look, you may not be hearing the truth, but people who are found in the industry and other things will do that. When I know that when people pass on, people exaggerate the type of role and other things they play. But the few I have read so far seem to really reflect the true nature of Honorable Agyarko. He's one of the very few MPs who can come across to the minorities. I sit just there and be chatting with somebody. Even though, if you take my experience with, even though there was age difference between the two of us, he treated me really as a true colleague. And I know that his passing on is a blow, not only to Parliament, but also to the family. I want to take this opportunity to extend my sympathies to the family members. I know this is a difficult period for them. I pray that the Almighty God gives them the strength, gives them the grace to understand that after all, the scripture says that what did it say? That remember you are dust, and in dust you shall return. And so it is his time. He's run his race, and it is time to join our Heavenly Father. I'm very convinced that all of us one day, people will narrate these same stories about us. I pray for him. I pray that God gives him a peaceful place to rest until we meet again.
Andrew.
Well, good morning to my very good friend Edward here with us, and of course to our cherished viewers this morning. I received the news of his passing yesterday evening from Ras Mubarak. I wasn't too well yesterday, so I went home immediately when we closed from the chamber, and so I was taking it easy in bed when I got a phone call from Ras asking from me whether what he's hearing is true. I asked, what was he hearing? Then he said, Kyeremateng Agyarko, he has passed. I was shocked, but I wasn't too surprised because I knew that he'd been unwell for a while. Indeed, only last Saturday I was speaking to somebody who was very close to him who indicated that he was improving. And so I said that, well, I hadn't heard, but then let me confirm and get back to him. So I quickly went on our majority platform and I saw notices, popping up. Even that, I still proceeded to confirm from the person that I know is very closely intimate with him. And she confirmed that indeed it was true. I was completely shaken because even though, like I said, I knew he was unwell, the indication that I had gotten just last Saturday and had the WhatsApp chat on my phone to the effect that he was improving, I at least expected that this was going to be the news that would hit us late yesterday evening. You can see clearly from my demeanor that it's been a painful news to bear because of the nature of the man and the relationship that I had with him in the very few months that I got to know him. I mean, of course, growing up, we all observed him from afar as the chief executive of the Free Zones, Food and Drugs Authority. He was not my associate, of course. We all belonged to the same political party. But since I got into Parliament in January 2017, he took an instant liking in me and would always call me into his office, render pieces of advice, ask me how I was doing constituency-wise, invite me to events at his home, including his 60th birthday party. Actually attended my 45th birthday party in May of this year. And last night I was watching pictures of him boogieing. He was such a man who was so full of life. His humility was infectious. And I don't know whether I earned the right to call him a friend, but I think that we were that close, and I can only ask that the good Lord repose his soul and to extend my sincere condolences to his entire family, particularly his brother, whom I knew even before him because he was the campaign chairman of His Excellency's campaign in 2012. I had contested the primaries in 2011, so we had met and engaged around that time. So, and of course, his wife and children, and all persons who were closely associated with him.
Very well, very well. And we also say that from JoyNews, and also right here on the show where he was a regular, may so rest in peace. Of course, during the 1 week, we'll do the appropriate, the needful programming to make sure that we remember him needfully in memory of him. But let's move on and do the discussions. And there have been some intermittent blackouts that I experienced in some parts of Accra. I don't know whether it's extended to some parts of the country. Many of the blackouts are usually unannounced. They don't take a 24-hour period. They are not a 12-hour power cuts. It takes some few hours, sometimes maybe less than an hour. But it's been consistent in some areas, at least for 6 hours, especially within the hours of 6 in the evening to about midnight. And we've had some responses from Gridco. Before then, we'd had some responses from the ECG. And well, are you on the Mines and Energy Committee?
Yes, I am.
And also because of your former role as a communication specialist consultant at the Ministry of Energy. Let me start with you on the subject. What have you picked up to be some of the reasons why we're having some of these intermittent blackouts?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think that what I have picked up is just based on what the statement that was issued by Gridco, and then subsequently the statement that was also issued by ECG. Gridco's statement that they issued yesterday suggests that they had low pressures in terms of gas at the western enclave, that's at Abuazi. And so the what they call it, the pressures, some plants were forced to go off, and that's why we had that. But this was not just on the day for yesterday. It's just as you rightly said, it has been there over a period of time. But Roland, I think that, of course, knowing the sector a bit, we cannot officially indicate that there's load management, because ECG has not told us anything that. But our experiences should be able to tell us that, look, we still having some problem, particularly the period in which the lights go off. The lights usually will go off around 6 and comes off maybe 10 or 11. Now, that is the period when Ghana we experience our peak load. That is the period when we use electricity most. So if you do not have power within that period, most likely just because there's insufficient generation. But my brother, if you go back and see last year in March, April, I wrote an article warning government.
Yes,
over this
I remember I read.
Yes, warning government over something. You see, reduction in electricity tariff is fantastic, and it's something we must do and we must pursue. But in doing that, we must tackle it from the right source. There are 3 different sources of revenues that are accrued as a result of the whole idea of power. The power from the 3 functional zones. You're talking of generation, distribution, and transmission. The first one basically has to do with the generators, those who generate the power. They need to get the money to be able to continuously generate. You have the distributors who also constantly need money to be able to distribute. And the third aspect is government's taxes and levies. That's the fiscal regime. My argument had been that, look, government had a very good intention of trying to reduce tariffs, and which was fantastic. But in doing that, government should have rather looked at the taxes on the tariff, instead of looking at the revenue requirement, encroaching on the revenue requirements of the utilities. What they have sufficiently done is to keep the taxes and levies and revenues that go to government intact, but they have encroached on the revenues that will be generated, that will be needed to run either by the generator, the transmitters, or maybe the distributors. And so, for example, you have a situation where ECG may buy power, say, for 10 cedis and sell it at 6 cedis or 7 cedis. So it means that for every sale they make, there's a deficit that they will have to account for.
And who has to pay for that?
That is a challenge. Nobody knows who pays for that. Because if you look at the 2018 budget, you look at the 2019 budget, there has not been a line item that takes care of that. That's the first thing. So from May 2017 till October end 2018, beyond just the legacy debt that we went into the market to be able to raise bonds to come and pay the $2.4 billion, which was about 10 billion Ghana cedis, we have accrued fresh debt of about $1 billion by ECG alone. This is as a result of the fact that all bills that have been given to ECG, on the average, they only meet about 20% of the bills that are given to them. So, for example, you have a company like Car Power that by the close of October 2018, ECG was owing them to a tune of about 300 million Ghana cedis.
That's huge.
That's huge. So, in as much as we are dealing with these things, we, excuse me, what do you say?
Proceed.
Okay. So, in as much as we are dealing,
your submissions will have to be corroborated.
Oh yes, and I've mentioned companies, and I'm a member of that committee, so I know exactly what I'm talking about. Indeed.
Actually, you are a source. What we have to quote.
Yes,
so,
and see,
we'll
you know
quote
the
you,
yes, but you know the interesting part. Just last week, the MD of ECG came, and when he gave us the total indebtedness,
he came before the committee.
The committee.
The Mines and Energy.
The Mines and Energy Committee.
Of which you are a member.
A member. He gave us this. I personally.
He gave you what?
In terms of the total debt, the indebtedness, and gave reasons why they were running into those challenges. But even asked them, and we are.
What can you remember to be the debt?
No. I'm telling you, it's just about the total of about $1 billion. But I'm saying that we have even asked that for all the generators that they have PPA with, that's the power purchase agreements with, they should itemize them for us to know. Because I tend to know, I know the Cap Power one because I happen to have specifically written to the company asking for some information. You understand the point I'm making? So I'm just making the point that so you have utilities who may not be able to buy fuel to run. And if they cannot run, trust me, you will have situations where there will be insufficient generation. And when there's insufficient generation, it is only during the period of the peak hours where everybody, you and I, when we close on work, we all go home. You put on your microwaves to be able to heat your food to eat. You put on your air conditioning because the weather is hot and other things. So at that time, everybody is using power. People are ironing for the following day's work. So that's when the demand for power is higher. And if you have insufficient generation in the system, you will definitely have the blackouts we're having. I'm just indicating clearly that look, if that is the challenge that we are facing, government should restore the tariffs they were getting for the the utilities, and rather look at the taxes and reduce the taxes.
It means that if you're saying on a condition, it means you're not sure yourself.
No. I use the word
speculating.
You see, look, remember that I had indicated.
It's not fair, and it's not a government issue.
No, listen. I said officially, the statement that was brought by Grico was that there were low pressures.
So if you doubt the statement, say so.
No, can I make my point? But I was telling you that based on the knowledge I have on what is happening in the energy sector, insufficient generation as a result of the fact that they cannot produce. And I've given you that look, in terms of their finances.
All the 5,000 megawatts cannot produce.
You can have a generator
we are
sitting
using
down.
only 28%.
My brother.
Only 28% too.
But can I make a point?
All of them cannot produce because there's no money.
You have about how many 4 Porsche cars? I've seen you drive different cars.
So what is that?
No, I'm going to say that. You can have all those cars if you don't have fuel to run them. Even though you have cars.
So you're saying that's our situation?
The situation is that we do not have the fuel. And the reason is because
a huge possibility.
They generate. Look,
it's a huge possibility.
You need to make an intelligent guess because of the situation.
Can you imagine?
The situation is that.
So
can you imagine that you are running a utility, and a utility where the person who is the off-taker for the power that you generate is owing you a tune of 300 million Ghana cedis. And you are telling me that, what is it? Excuse my language, is it going to take water and pour it into the generator?
It's not for Christmas.
It's not for Christmas. Yeah. So that is a challenge.
Okay.
And luckily, they told us that it was because of fuel. That's why we're having challenge. Because they said low pressures in gas. So it's fuel.
Just the semantics. That's what you're saying.
Okay. It's fuel.
But our agreement, our service agreement, is with the service provider ECG. Why did we need Gridco rather assuring the public?
Good. Gridco is usually the system administrator, as it were.
No, I understand.
No. Yes.
But why should Gridco rather be communicating with customers, not ECG?
ECG will tell you, and look, that's a legitimate thing because your contract is not with Gridco. As a customer, your contract is with what they call
Actually, we don't see Gridco in our service delivery in any way.
Strictly speaking, ECG should have been telling us this. ECG should have been telling us that, look, we had to do this because of X, Y, Z. But I also do know, and I tell you this for a fact, that I also do know that certain times, when Gridco looks at the system, they look at the monitors, and they realize that there's insufficient generation. normally they need to take people off the grid immediately, or else you have a system collapse. So with a recourse to ECG, they can take off maybe the whole of Tema West.
So that's why we get a 1 hour, 2 hours, 6 hours.
Yes, listen. So they can take you off because they monitor the amount of generation you have in the system, and they look at the load that is on the system, and they normally will have to balance that. Anytime there's an imbalance in that, you can have a total. That's why we've always had, a few times we've had total shutdown of all our power systems. Because anytime there's that, when you
so if they don't do what they are doing now, we'll get to the,
yes. And the reason why they have to do that is because some people are not generating enough, and ECG to a very large extent is also making a lot of people hooked on the thing, and so there's an imbalance.
All right, I'll come out to ask you a question about the IPPs, but at this point, I know that ultimately they'll say government, but government, it's almost like a service provider that is having some inefficiency challenges.
Well, I guess that based on the statement that you just forwarded to me, that was issued by Gridco.
You just read it?
Yes, I just read it.
Then you don't need to comment on it.
Why not?
No, okay.
You run riots. It's not fair.
I know the issues.
It's not a balanced conversation.
Okay, go on.
Okay,
you know my friend,
and since you did not work here, when you were citing examples for people who have vehicles, I expect that you use yourself rather than third parties.
No, it's because I've seen your cars.
You understand? I mean, to the extent of mischief is not going to distract me.
It's not good, though.
Look, I mean, let's get serious. I mean, to the extent that Gridco has indicated quite clearly that the reason for the disruption in the delivery of electricity to ECG and, of course, by extension to we the consumers is as a result of some low pressures that were experienced within the Ghana gas system at Atuabo and Abuazi, and so power, the gas supplies to the power plants dipped, and they necessarily had to get the thermal plants, which are essentially on standby, to kick in so that power is restored to the consumers. I will not attribute the blame to the service provider, because unless, of course, there's reason to doubt or dispute the statement that has been issued to Gridco by Gridco, I mean, we should take it on the face value, and that's what it is. You see, over the past 2 or so days, I've heard commentary in the media led by my friend and his group.
Have you been commenting? I've not heard you. Have you been commenting?
No, I've not. So you see your this. Go on.
Many people in your party.
In any case, I'll comment on it on the floor of Parliament today.
On asking questions when in fact yesterday he came up on the floor.
So today
has Doomsaw been restored.
No, I don't think we've gotten to the stage where we have concerns.
But I'm saying that is the impression that they want to create.
When there was a schedule and everything.
No, you see,
this one has no schedule. So we haven't gotten this pre.
They have asked questions relating to
the
whether
schedule is not what makes it Doomsaw. It is the Doomsaw
there
itself.
is financing challenge, hence the erratic power supply that we are experiencing. I've heard them, and he cannot deny it. Suggesting that we have gotten to Doomsaw. Well, Doomsaw that the people of Ghana were subjected to lasted for in excess of 3 years.
No, we talk about today's.
Okay, so let's not create our own distortions and try and make news out of them. Doesn't work. Of course, if we experience persistent cuts in our power, I'll be happy for the questions to be asked.
Have you been experiencing some?
I've had 2 days.
Some
2 nights, yes.
So at what point do we need to ask questions? When you say persistence, what do you mean? What is the duration?
I expect
what is the
reasonable
duration?
man's test should be applied in this
No. Just want to know, because
And particularly
for me, persistence means that if for a whole week I have this challenge.
But have we had
For
it
me,
for
it's
a week?
persistent.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's fine. If
I
it's
have had it.
reasonable. And people use electricity for several
things. And so, yes, if industry is suffering because of 1 week erratic supply in power, and it's reasonable within those circumstances to say that, look, my business is suffering because of this, let's ask the questions, by all means.
But not now.
Are we there?
So you see, so that's what I was saying. What is the test of reasonableness when you want to look at it?
Legitimate reason had been given. Yet look at where he went to.
But those days too, legitimate reasons were given.
Were they?
Yes, they were.
They were.
And what,
legitimate.
Look,
and then we can go back
please,
to those.
please,
we can visit
please.
those ones.
Roland, we had always maintained when we were in opposition that at the time that we left power, we had sufficient generation capacity to meet the demand of this country. True or false? They said no, and that the real issue why we're experiencing the power cuts was doing so, was finance. We said so clearly. They disagreed with us and said no, we don't have the capacity, and that, well, even if we have the capacity, there's no backup that is available. So they went on a binge.
And if you say left power, you're talking about the Kufuor administration.
Yes.
But even then, the capacity was not up to 2,000.
No, yes, it wasn't up to 2,000, about 1,900 and change. How much do we use per day?
Our peak now.
Yes.
As our peak now, it's about 2,500, 2,600 coming.
So we was on stream coming at the time. You see, what is the installed generation capacity as we speak?
Almost 5,000. It's 4,000.
How much of that do we use daily?
No, you see, install is different from available.
Oh, please.
Okay.
Please.
I thought you were asking questions for
I think you're heckling him. That's not fair.
Let's make it our energy needs constitute only 28% of installed capacity.
It's not true.
What do you mean by it's not true?
Go on.
What do you mean by it's not? I'm speaking fact.
From where? Which fact are you talking about? What is your total time?
It's okay.
You
Let's
see,
not.
your total installed.
Please
You're installed, even not even available. You are installed.
Mr. Bawa, you are disrupting the discussion this morning. Please continue.
You see, Roland, you can check from Gridco and all the other people. We use only 28%. When we are paying in excess of $600 million per year for electricity, we do not need. Fact. Okay, because you've signed take-or-pay agreements that necessarily saddles you with some obligation for power you do not need.
So that's why you cancelled some.
Of course. That's why the ones that had not come on stream were renegotiated and some cancelled.
So it's not cancelled.
Okay.
Renegotiated.
There's several things.
Okay, so give me the facts.
Or so.
Because the president is on record to have said in the UK.
Indicated that we were cancelling, and some of them, and some have been cancelled. I think 8 or so of them have been cancelled.
It's not true.
You are not
It's
sure.
true.
We have the latest report.
Where is the latest report?
I'm coming. You see.
Put it across.
please,
Because
I'll come.
look,
Yeah.
if we all knew the subject for discussion
Was going to be this. I would have
we
brought
will
you
bring
the
the information.
I would have brought you the document.
Okay, power plants have been cancelled, PP agreements have been cancelled, and some renegotiated for the time that they will come on stream to be extended.
Which
Fact.
ones have been cancelled?
Okay, like I said, if we knew that this was the subject, we would have brought it.
No, please go ahead.
So we deal with it. Okay, so let's not create the impression that we are in some energy crisis. We are not.
Nobody has said when.
That's the suggestion that they have tried to paint.
I didn't say that.
No, we as an editorial team, we decided to bring this subject. It's not.
I'm telling you the commentary that they've been making in the public space.
It's not before.
I
Okay.
didn't notice until now.
Oh, Roland. I gave you
based on my experience.
I don't have a problem. Even yesterday on the floor of Parliament, let him confirm or deny whether this issue did not come up.
You did?
Absolutely. During the budget debate, they posed the question whether we've returned to the era of Doomsaw. They did.
Okay.
Okay.
But you do agree that you experience intermittent power.
Absolutely, of course. I mean, I don't live in this country alone.
Just a minute.
And you don't think it's a border?
I'm saying that to the extent that the explanation that has been given is satisfactory, I'm not worried.
You see, a quick one. You see, I just want us to put this to rest. As when you finish, you can call Honorable Katie Hammond, because he was part of this meeting and he sat by me when we asked.
Which day was that?
One went for just last 2 weekends, and one went to meet ECG. They brought us the list.
The last 2 weekends.
They brought us the list of all PPAs that they have been running. all the thermal plants. Those thermal plants that had PPAs that were, cancelled, the figure there was 0. Renegotiated, 0. They have 24 of them. They are all operational as we speak. And I'm saying this, I've called somebody. So to the extent that even Honorable Katie Hammond asked the ECG boss, have you cross-checked this, your data with the ministry? Because the ministry is telling us something else.
Well, okay, as a committee,
yes,
you are on the Mines and Energy Committee of
yes,
Parliament. And I'm saying, right on this subject,
yes,
that you, as a member of Parliament, and a member of Parliament Mines and Energy Committee, yes, you are a source to be quoted.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm asking you,
yes,
how many power purchasing agreements have been cancelled per data that has been made available to you?
Yeah, per data that have been made available to us, they have 24 thermal PPAs for thermal plants. Those that have been cancelled, 0. Renegotiated, 0. I don't know if I'm making sense. Okay. So it tells you that they have not cancelled any PPA on, because, you know, of course.
But this is your interaction with the ECG, not the Ministry of Energy.
This is the report from ECG. Who are the people? They manage the PPAs. Do you understand my point? And I've given you, beyond me, I've asked you that ask Honorable Katie Hammond, because he drew the attention of the ECG boss to the fact that, look, the ministry and the president, they are saying something else, and you are saying something else. Have you reconciled this?
Have you tried to get to the ministry? Have they met
you?
So you know what
happened?
Was the response?
So you know what happened? We then asked the ministry to give us a report which type of PPA, because they don't manage the PPAs. Which PPAs were cancelled? We're supposed to have met them last week, Wednesday, to give us a report. They said the man was outside the country.
Which man?
The Minister for Energy was outside the country.
But
you understand?
No,
but the point I'm trying to make is that
you don't make it sound as if you're lying.
No, the point I'm just trying to make is that the ministry does not manage PPAs. The off-taker is ECG. They manage it. And they're telling us that all the PPAs they have, this is the situation
so
they
you're
find
saying
us.
The president
That's
lied.
the first one, yes.
You're saying the president lied.
He definitely was fed with untruth. That's the first point.
So you're saying the president was fed with untruth.
Untruth.
And the president communicated untruth to the
Ghanaian public. That's the first one. Second one, you see, my brother indicates that if you look at the installed capacity that we have, we are just using about 28%. Is that a point he made? Currently, our peak demand is roughly around 2,500, 2,600.
And this figure is sourced from?
Oh, no, this is, GRIDCO has it, everybody has it. It's an open document. It's something that is there.
Basic knowledge.
Basic knowledge.
In your industry?
Yes. Now, in terms of our installed capacity, it's about 4,300 and something. So even with that, the simple mathematics tells you that it can be 28%. Best simple mathematics cannot tell you that it's around 28 because it's more than 50%. That's the thing. Secondly, by industry practice, you need a total of at least 20% of your installed capacity.
Total generation capacity.
Continue.
Good. No. He's been a source of distraction. By industry practice, you need at least 20% as reserve margin. Do you know why you need a 20% as reserve margin? You need a 20% as reserve margin because of the fact that if you have any of your generating plants going down, you can rely on that. 3, currently as we speak, we have suppressed demand. Why do I say so? Valco has 5 port lines to run. Currently, they are running on 1 port line. It is now they are trying to bring a 2nd port line on. The reason why they are not running the 5 port line is because of insufficient power. Each port line takes 75 megawatts to run. So if today you get up and tell me that on the basis of excess capacity, we are paying in the neighborhood of $600 million because of take or pay. My brother, in all power purchase agreements, it is a take or pay basis. Why do I say so? Before the person comes to...
So you are saying before you start operating fully, there's no liability?
Yes. No.
There's no liability to the country for which you're operating?
Yes. So normally you sign a PPA, and the PPA...
I do understand what you're saying.
In the PPA, you agree that you are an off-taker. So as long as I'm able to produce power, you should take. If you don't take it, you pay what we call capacity charges.
I know that.
You understand the point I'm making? So basically, that is what...
But as they are not running or operating, and even though you are the off-taker, they've not started generating for you. What do we do essentially with them?
So you pay capacity charges.
And
because
is that not what the president, through the information he has from the Ministry of Energy,
I've just given you that. If you look, what the ECG told us, they said they have excess capacity of about 840 something megawatts. That's the point they have made. If you take 840 something, that includes even the spending reserve. Take 20%. Take 20% of the total thing, and you have been left with around 400 and something megawatts. I'm talking about the amount of megawatts that are left. I've given you the example that you have Valco, run on only one port line.
So right now the basic thing is that right now we have excess capacity.
Basic thing is that we have enough capacity.
So we have no business saying that these power cuts, etc., should be because of gas pressures.
Yeah, gas pressure. But you know the other point. There was a last point he made, and I think you captured it very nicely. You see, when he indicated that the problem all along was a question of what they call it,
finance.
Go back again, and I'm giving you a reference. Go back again and look at the 2008 energy debates at the Energy Institute in KUST. There were 3 major factors that were affecting the energy sector. One had to do with insufficient generation, because we had just come out from, you remember, because of the rainfalls, we had come out from the doomsday in 2006, 2007. So it was one of the issues. The second had to do with fuel security, because we're relying on, you are just taking Google, I don't know if you want Google or whatever you are Googling. You see, the other one had to do with, what they call it, fuel security.
The thing is that some of your figures add up, some to don't add up, that's why.
No, but
that's why I'm saying that's why I'm saying corroboration is important. It needs to be corroborated.
No, don't worry, I'm coming. So you have, what they call it, you had fuel security, and the third one had to do with finance. What the NDC did was that first we guaranteed it sufficient generation by bringing a lot of generation plants on stream.
We give that to you.
Yes. 2, we dealt with fuel security by making sure that Tuabo was there with the $1 billion the gas, processing our own indigenous gas. 3, we created what we call the Energy Sector Levy Act, under which we rake in this country every year in the neighborhood of about 3 billion to retire all our legacy debt. That was not occasioned by John Mahama, but it was occasioned by previous governments.
And it's part of it that we've securitized, right?
We securitized. So these were the 3 major interventions that were done by the Mills Mahama administration. So when you look at this and you get up and tell me and single out only one problem about finance, leaving fuel security, and leaving the issue of insufficient generation,
the doomsday
then you have a problem.
Took place for a period of about took place for about 3.5 years. That's the whole point. But at the end of the day,
I don't know why you guys think that.
Did you resolve doomsday?
Hold on.
But you are bringing it back.
Hold on.
Oh, they are not bringing it back.
See, I told you.
Because of gas pressures.
I just mentioned to you the narrative.
So because gas pressures
that they are spinning out there. I just told you. You see,
you think they're creating fear and panic?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's their nature. You see, I don't know why they always go back to Atuabo, as if to say they have some vision, dream to resolve the fuel security of this country.
But Atuabo was commendable.
No, I don't have a problem. But you see,
it's a big contributor.
Let me tell you what. No, I don't have a problem.
Great.
But are you telling me that if the NDC had not come to power in 2009, wouldn't have built a processing plant? Do you know the basis for the setting up of the processing plant? It was the foundation gas that President Kufuor negotiated with the Jubilee partners that we got for free. Please, so let's be candid. Indeed, negotiations were ongoing with the Trinidad and Tobago people to build a processing plant for Ghana before you came to power.
You've just made your point.
So let's not create. These are facts.
You've just scored a political point.
Oh no, he's not a political point.
8 over 10.
Listen.
Wait. He's not done anything.
1 punch.
When they got the opportunity to negotiate the ENI, what did they do?
What did we do?
You allowed them to strip off all the natural gas liquids offshore. And you bought the gas, lean gas,
we're not
at
discussing
the most expensive price ever in the whole world.
It is good.
What are we talking about?
I want to end the discussion. I want to end this discussion.
We know the figures.
It's okay.
We know the facts.
It's okay. Look, forget. I know you people want to score 7 over 10, 8 over 10. But the basic thing is that as a customer of ECG,
you have no life.
I've been experiencing this for a number of weeks, and I'm worried. Yesterday, I experienced it 3 days ago. I did. Over the weekend, I did. And I don't think it is fair. That's the basic thing. So please, let's get to the Minister of Energy and the Minister of Information to give us some concrete information.
Like I said at the outset of the discussion,
you are a good political communicator, so you are managing this thing very well. It's okay.
To ask the critical questions.
Please.
Did you have lights in your house today for yesterday in the night?
On the front page of the Daily Graphic, we have, there's no policy on no tin, no free SHS. Let's quickly have a word on this. Now, why do we need to attach this to admission into free SHS?
Well, nothing has been attached to admission into free SHS. Okay, let's.
What has been done?
Wait. You've asked me a question. I'm going
you
to
are too abrasive this morning.
I'm not abrasive. You've asked the question. I'm providing you with an answer. Look, government has indicated the need for the tax net to be broadened. Only a few of us who are in the formal sector are taxed. Now, the services that our taxes are used to provide is enjoyed by everybody. So over the past few years, government has initiated a policy of getting a lot more people roped into the tax net. One of the key interventions was the introduction of the tax identification number. Clearly, because there's no compulsion, people are not taking it. So in the past year, it has been tied to assessing certain social services or public services, including registration of land, obtaining driver's license, passports, incorporating company, filing suit at the court. That necessarily has brought in some additional people. Okay, now going forward, there's proposal that other social services that people access ought to be tied with the issuance of the tax identification number, so we can bring in much more people. Now, question is that intended to create an impediment for accessing those services? Obviously not. And I will be happy for us to have a conversation as to how Ghana Revenue Authority is going to ensure that, say, if you need health insurance and you are required to provide a tax identification number, how do we make the provision of those tax identification numbers accessible to the beneficiaries of the social services to enable them captured onto the system? That's all. And so a conversation has evolved that in the provision of social services, people have extended it. And of course, the tax expert at the Ministry of Finance, yesterday's graphic, indicated that as part of the policy, some of the examples that were being considered was the assessment of senior secondary school, NHIS.
And the registration process.
Absolutely. And so if you are going to school and you're going to register we find out that your parents haven't got a tax identification number, are we then asking the parent to go back to wherever he came from to obtain a tax identification number before he brings his ward to school, or that Ghana Revenue will make services available at that point so that the people can be captured?
Is that what's
simple? Absolutely. And I expect that is the kinds of questions that we should be asking the Ghana Revenue.
Asking them, but they've
we
not been telling us.
Asked.
Oh, we have.
People have twisted it and are creating a certain impression out there purely on account of politics. We listen to you on the media.
Which people? You mean NDC?
NDC. Absolutely. We listen to you.
We have given you the opportunity to explain this thing.
But
you are talking about NDC.
But it's important to clearly distinguish the myth from the fact.
Okay. It's okay.
And you are the ones who are spewing out the myth and asking. And look,
Mr.
Take coffee.
Mr. Long. Okay. At the beginning of 2017,
yes, sure.
The Vice President said that the basis for which we're going to have a data from which we're going to have allied institutions of states, more so by which government can have a proper analysis of what sort of population or demographics could be roped into the tax system, was a registration of people through the Ghana card.
Yes.
Okay. So when the Ghana card is in, if GRA wanted people to have TIN, they just go and access the database of the NIA. And so they'll call Roland Walker at Agyarko. And they'll say, your TIN number, because you are located here, is this and that and that. On this date, we're going to have this and that and that. Not when I'm taking my son Alex to Infantipim. Then you come and locate me there and give me 10.
Roland, you see,
I haven't finished.
The suggestion
doesn't it mean by inference that government is admitting that its schedules for the registration for the Ghana card is not going to be met? 2, aren't we duplicating efforts with using resources through this registration of the tin this way, instead of perhaps making reference to the database which should have been collected by the NEIA?
I don't think there's a duplication of effort at all, unless you're suggesting that until the Ghana card database is ready, no step whatsoever should be taken to broaden the tax net.
I haven't said that.
But that's the implication of the statement that you just made.
No, I'm telling you about what the Vice President said. That
there's no inconsistency with what the Vice President said and what is happening at all.
Oh, but the Vice President...
Because, you see, the Ghana card is a process. We are gathering data of all Ghanaians, okay, within a certain time frame that has been set by the National Identification Authority and are rolling out. Now, when we are able to gather sufficient data, of course, going forward, I'm not sure that tax identification numbers would be, you will have to go and register for another tax identification number.
Will even be needed, maybe at other points.
Absolutely. But before that data is gathered, we still need to register people to pay tax. And so Ghana Revenue Authority, mandated under a legislation passed by Parliament, is seeking to gather data of taxpayers. And that's exactly the exercise that's going on as we speak. So I don't see the inconsistency. The Ghana card is something that we should have had long ago. We haven't had it. It is important that we have a database of all Ghanaians, resident, non-resident, and even foreigners living in this country for planning purposes. Useful. If we had that database as we speak, I'm not sure the introduction of the thing would have arisen. But we don't have it.
All right.
Yet, we still ought to generate revenue.
Okay. People
ought to be brought into the tax net. So processes ought to be employed to ensure that that happens simultaneously until we get to the point where we have completed the national ID card system, such that there won't be the need to ask people to go back and obtain another card.
So it's a situation of while we're waiting for Jesus, let's do Moses.
Oh, please. You see, well, you can take a simplistic view of it. No, but that is what it is.
I'm sorry.
Okay, I think that this is a serious exercise. We all are hoping that borrowing would reduce in this country, of course. In our personal life, why would anybody want to accumulate debt?
Please wrap up.
But out of need, we do. And government has committed that we are moving this country on a certain trajectory. To get there, these are the kinds of steps that we need to take to get there. Edward. And as far as I'm concerned, that gives me a lot of hope.
You see, in life, when you see a simple question and somebody talks plenty, tells you that the person has no answer to the challenge.
It's not as simple as that.
Yeah, no, I'm serious.
Please.
And I know my man. He's a very smart guy.
We leave that to our listeners and viewers.
Let me tell you, you know something. He's a very smart guy. Me, I know him. He's my friend. He's one of the few friends I have in life. So I know how good he is. So when you see him talking for long like this, tells you that he's hot.
You've known me for barely 2 years. I'm one of the few friends that you have in life.
In life.
Hey.
Now,
okay.
Now let me make a point. You see, the issue of tax and paying tax is a responsibility that anybody who is supposed to pay tax must do. Government must use all legitimate means to ensure that people who are supposed to pay tax pay. And so I am not, and I've also always advocated that, look, instead of putting so much pressure on just a few who pay tax, find a way of ensuring that people who are supposed to pay tax.
So government wants to do that, and you are complaining.
And so that they would not be able to trace maybe Roland, because you work at Joy FM, at least they can tax your salary, they know where it is. But somebody who sells phones, maybe at Tito Lane, making even more than you, does not pay tax. So I agree that these factors must be looked at. But when you tie in the payment of tax, or maybe the provision of social services to a demonstration that you have a tax identification number, then you are beginning to have some challenge. You definitely have some challenge. And I'll explain to you why. You take somebody from my village, Bongo, who has been able to pay the premium for what they call it, National Health Insurance card. It's a registered member within the scheme. He gets to Bongo District Hospital. He wants to access the social service, that's health. And the condition under which he can access that health is that he must show that he has a tax identification number.
That's a simple thing to do.
No, it's not simple. It is not simple.
Go and register and bring it to come and register for NHI.
Simple. I say it is not that
to
simple.
me, it's
you
simple.
See, the right to health, the right to health,
You don't think it's simple?
the right to education cannot be tied to this. Because, and I'll explain to you why. There are people who, for one reason or the other, do not have jobs. A family member has been able, and you and I don't know, I know maybe you may have done that maybe in your village or other things, help people pay to get the national health card.
I've done that, yeah.
You've done that. And then the person gets there, he has no even job to pay tax on. Then you tell him that to be able to access health service, he must show that he has a tax identification number.
But the
Somebody
service that
who-
he's assessing
no.
is not only provided with the contribution is made. Other taxpayers' contribution is going into the provision.
So the argument is
of
that find better ways of
Yes,
registering
And
him.
what better way? They say before you obtain the national ID card and health
Should I
insurance
get up?
card,
Should I get up and go?
not
Should I
when
just
you are
stop?
going to hospital to access the service.
You've made your
Let's
point.
not mix the two, please.
Yeah, you've made your point.
Let's not.
Continue.
Okay, thank you very much.
Health
Oh, I'm
insurance.
happy. I'm happy that you are protecting me. The other point is the same parent, by virtue of the fact that you say the person has to go to school and he has a right to education as per Article 25. Then he gets there, he is unemployed, but he has the opportunity to take the child to say JSS, FQ, to say SSS, free SHS, and you say he must show a tax identification number.
That's not hard to do. That's my whole point.
No, the question I'm making is that how many people can get that done? We are not, and I'll tell you that I am not against government using various ways in ensuring that we rope in a lot of people. I am not against the use of tin as an instrument to get that, but to tie it to access to social services like health, like education, particularly in the circumstances in which we find ourselves.
Passports, driver's
No,
licenses.
you see, you know what I'm making up. You see,
But the thing is that ordinary
passport-
Ghanaian doesn't
you got
access those
passport.
things. You see,
They
Roland,
don't. You see,
Roland,
of course, this
we-
is the
we're
conversation
missing-
of a
we're
bourgeois.
missing the point.
You see, this is a conversation of a
No, it's
bourgeois.
not a conversation
It's
of a bourgeois.
This is a conversation of a bourgeois.
No.
You see, when
You know why
get-
we're missing the point?
No, please don't
We
contribute.
make it- we make it seem
Andrew,
like
when
important.
when you take 1 minute, 5 minutes, okay.
Yeah, you see,
Very well.
so for me, I think the government must have a second look at this. They must begin to start looking at how we can ensure that people who are supposed to pay tax have the 10 numbers,
Yeah.
such that they can get them to pay.
Okay.
But let's not tie it to the provision of social services.
Yeah.
Particularly for the
Roland,
But it's in the law. It's in the Revenue Administration Act 26. Only that it hadn't been enforced.
No, it has been there. It is. But the question is that the law does not say that it should be tied to social services. It says you must have a TIN number. It is not that it should be tied to access to social services. That's not what the law
It
says.
says that
we
additional
are
government is
You see-
providing
you see,
we require beneficiaries of the Ghanaians to have.
if you do not pay tax, it's a crime.
So,
if you do not
see-
pay tax, it's a crime.
You see, Roland.
Yes, sir.
Roland, I get the sense that they are
Actually-
mixing
No. As you get in,
obtaining of a tax identification number
With payment
to
of tax.
necessarily mean that you pay tax. Because tax is only applicable on
But why are you
income.
taking the number then?
No, listen.
It's for you to be tracked to pay.
Absolutely. So
To
if you
contribute
have
to
the
your quota.
number, then we can make a determination as to whether you earn a revenue
No, that's all.
or income.
But then you pay tax.
But you see, so if you have the TIN number and you don't earn any income, you won't be paying any tax.
So that is why, you see, enroll. You asked a very good question. If the ingredients or the various things that you need to provide to get the Ghana card should be that you should have a TIN number. I'm giving you an example. Just you should provide a TIN number. No, I'm just giving
It's
Hmm.
you.
not part. Don't
it's
even
not part. Yes.
to cause confusion.
Yeah. So assuming that is the case,
But don't you
fine.
know
You
it's
can look at
deliberate?
it. Huh?
No,
I said
continue.
it's
Continue.
deliberate.
No. What is deliberate?
It's
about
not part of the regulation.
The inclusion of TIN number to the Ghana card that you just mentioned.
Yes.
It's
It's not.
deliberate.
It's not. It's
Why-
not included. Otherwise, it will
No.
cause confusion.
No,
in
the
minds
point
of
I'm just trying to make is that assuming that you decide to even take it there, it's a question that look. So at the end of the day, it is taken for granted that as long as you have the Ghana card, you will have had the TIN number.
Because I'm even thinking the best place to
Yeah.
get the
You have
population is to attach the GRA tin registration people.
Yeah.
With the GRA. So
if you do not have a tin number, you pick it. That is the strategy.
So for example, 2 weeks ago they went to Adenta.
Yes.
114,000 approximately people
were
registered. So you could have registered 140,000 people. Cool.
Tin numbers. Yeah. So you don't tie it. You see.
Because this one you're just generating the number for them.
I agree.
So you don't tie it to the access.
And so
let's look at the
numbers. The numbers can be generated for people when they go to senior high school to send their children to school.
All we are saying is that you guys have not.
The numbers can be generated for people at that point as well.
Yes. So you see.
So
yes,
we all
agree.
Any other means that Ghana revenue can use to ensure that everybody is registered should be deployed. That's all that we are
So what we are saying is that you see the principle behind making sure that people have 10 numbers is not
including accessing health services.
It's not being disputed here. We're just saying that you are not going about it in a smart way in terms of how do you get those things.
But
that's all that we are saying.
The point is this, that assessing tax identification number is not a prerequisite for assessing those services. It is not.
Read
it.
What the Minister of Finance has access to approve.
If you go to the hospital, for instance,
read what the Minister of Finance has access to approve.
The Revenue, Mr. Speaker, the Revenue Administration Act 2016 lists many services and transactions that cannot be accessed by individuals without TIN. Unfortunately, compliance with these requirements have been low. In 2019, the Finance Minister is saying we will begin to apply sanctions to state and private entities that fail to enforce these TIN requirements. Additionally, government in providing social services and benefits provided by the state will require beneficiaries or their guardians to have a TIN.
Yes.
So that's the point we're making.
This will complement.
If you go to school and you don't have all you have to do is to obtain the TIN.
Why? But
I mean,
we're asking
why not?
Why not?
Why not?
I am a 12-year-old. Even by law, I'm not even supposed to be working. By law.
But they've not said 12-year-old.
No, I'm just saying that.
Is it to the beneficiaries or the parents and guardians?
Look, a 12-year-old, I'm not supposed to be working.
Guys.
Then you ask me for a TIN number.
No, I think your argument is...
No, I know. The question I'm making is that, will you ask me for a TIN number? No.
But the person doesn't require a TIN number.
Yes, but I'm supposed. So why would you be premising or maybe hinging what they call it, the access to that particular social service?
Because we want the parents to comply.
Excuse me, sir. Sir. Why don't we have the GRA take its TIN registration people to community by community?
I agree. So let by all means.
So now,
so if they go to the community,
this operation.
Three of us here have all agreed.
Roland,
that the strategy the government is using is not smart.
I think that's the problem.
There is the strategy the government is no problem with this process at all.
Okay.
All right. I thought you had agreed. I agree with what?
Our discussion is up.
There's no problem.
Our time is up, unfortunately.
It's service provision points that the tax identification numbers will have to be issued at that point.
I think that the media, just a minute or two, and you can give him the opportunity to rebut that. The media must take interest in what the Minister of Finance has asked us to approve. The Minister of Finance has asked us that we should increase presidential staffers at Flagstaff House.
Is it in the budget?
Yes, appendix 7. That from 998 to 1,614. Meanwhile, they have capped the maximum number of workers that the Special Prosecutor's Office can hire, and that's 12.
Appendix
They have reduced, I think it's around 216 or something. Look at page 216 or something. And they have reduced also the budget of Shraj. Agencies that are supposed to be fighting
government
corruption.
Machinery. Ceiling of staff. 1,614. Wait. And then the budget for it, 110 million Ghana cedis. What's the meaning of you're in government?
Yeah. Why?
Yeah.
The 998 we said we cried.
You are milling this thing. What's the meaning of Office of Government Machinery?
You see, it's all the agencies that work under the presidency. No, you see,
including parks and gardens,
all those agencies. And I will be interested in having the budget numbers for 2018. Then we can compare. It's a simple matter. Questions ought to be asked. I don't have a problem. I'm not afraid of being asked questions. Yes, by all means ask the questions. But if there's a justification, the people who are supposed to answer will provide us the answers.
All right.
It's one thing being satisfied with the answers that is provided or not.
So you're saying
It's
that
simple.
it's legitimate to interrogate this?
I don't have a, of course, but that is the entire
not to make the
purpose.
conclusions
No.
that are being.
No.
So let's get the 2018 budget figures. Because it's not in there. Let's get the 2019 and compare and ask the appropriate questions.
Mr. Japa.
It's legitimate.
Mr. Japa, is it not because maybe government is noted for having huge number of
You see, Roland,
of staff
you
at
don't fall
the
for the
office of government?
propaganda of the NDC.
Oh. So
You sat
is there
here.
NDC who wrote that budget or what?
No, wait.
I don't know, is there
I'm
NDC that
relating
wrote
it
this
to the
budget?
998. And you know, they sought to create a certain impression that Flagstaff House,
Are you saying the
Jubilee
NDC?
House.
Are you
Wait.
saying the NDC is feeding me with
wait,
information?
but you have the suggestion that you made now.
He just read something from the document.
You just noted that all the people in government machinery includes employees of parks and gardens and all
So
other
are there the
places.
people? Is that the people
They
that are going to hire?
created the impression that all these people work in Jubilee House.
No, that's not true.
That's the impression they created.
But
No,
No, absolutely I agree.
I
agree
pointed
with
out
you.
that
So
guarantee. So
see,
why do you say
you
why do you
wait,
say NDC is feeding me with
They've
information?
asked you a question.
Roland,
Why are you increasing the number
wait.
from 998
Wait.
to
Wait.
1,640?
It's not the same number.
Why are you doing? Why are you
It's not
increasing the
same number.
numbers?
Please.
Why
The
are you
Office
putting
of
a cap
Government
on the
is that
state
the alternative that you're offering to the people of Ghana?
You see, why are you
convince
reducing the
them to
budget?
vote
Why
for
are you
you?
reducing the budget of Shraj when you know that this is an anti-corruption agency that can ensure that we'll have a lot of savings if we are able
Mr.
to?
Japa, you don't think
why
this is
are
an
you
issue?
doing
No,
that?
hold on. You see,
Staff, office
The-
of government
if-
machinery
if
staff
a certain allocation-
1,614. How many staff will be at Parks and Gardens?
Parks and
Department?
Gardens.
so
How
let's
many?
find out.
Minia.
Because this figure doesn't say. And I do not have
Don't worry, we'll go
the
and interrogate these
2018
issues first.
Yeah,
figures
but the media should take note
planted
of
in
this.
my head.
We'll
So
integrate
there's no
this.
problem. You see, Roland.
Yes, sir.
Roland, this is
Yes, sir.
important. If Shraj is allocated X amount of money in 2017
And they reduced it almost by $1 million.
and they do not utilize those monies, I'm asking. If it was a conditional statement that I'm making. I know
Look.
exactly what every word that I utter means. If. And so let's interrogate it. That look, what was allocation that was made to Shraj in 2008?
Did they use-
What was the level of utilizations that they made? And was there a basis for why a reduction has been made in
In fact, in terms
2008?
of budget performance,
That's all.
in terms of budget performance,
That's all.
the government in 2017, in terms of releases that they did roughly around 50-something%. So if
Roughly
I
around.
yes, no, that's what I'm saying. Just
You mean
roughly around
expenditure?
Yes, the expenditure. No, actually,
The appropriation
you know
and
that
the
for example, the Minister of Finance has indicated that he's going to give a special prosecutor 181 million Ghana cedis. That is what he has stated there. At the end of the day,
much
you
will be
will, yes,
expended
in
is
2019,
different.
we will look at the performance. How much has he actually released to them? You get the point, Maggie. That's why we look at the budget performance. And so, my brother, you see,
Releases
It's
are
okay,
obviously
please,
based on
it's okay.
requests
Our
that have
discussion
been
is over.
to the Ministry of Finance.
Today we've had
Okay.
Andrew Ejapa-Mensah. Andrew Ejapa-Mensah is a legal practitioner, but he's also a member of
Guys,
Parliament for
offer
Second D.
credible alternatives. Oh. Offer alternatives.
Edward
policy
Bauer
issues.
is a member of
That's
Parliament
exactly
for
what we
Bongo.
do.
He's
That's
a member
what we
of
do.
Parliament's Committee on Mines and Energy.
I'm very sad this morning.
Gentlemen, it's okay. Is LIP a social service?
it's what?
LIP.
Yes, a social service.
Would the beneficiaries of LIP also?
That's a good question you've asked.
Oh, you see, it's a gradual introduction.
Oh,
Oh.
that's a straight question.
Because, look,
We're taking a break.
Good
We'll be
question.
right back.
Good question.
Roland, it's important.